up. But Michael Danby, I'll go to you with this. I didn't think it was a smart tactical move for the opposition to lead off question time, going in to try and play, or what looked like trying to play a bit of politics with Andrew Hastie's comments today. If they really wanted to know whether his briefing that was referred to in the chamber was classified, that would have been something I'd expect foreign advisor from the Leader's Office to foreign advisor in the PMO to have that conversation outside of the glare of the chamber. This is the last thing Australians need, is for the politics to occur between the two major parties.
Peter, that's a fair judgment that you could make. I'm not on the Opposition Tactics Committee. The principal concern of all Australians should be foreign interference in Australia and how we, in a non-partisan way, combat it. And I think it's clear that in a non-confidential briefing by the FBI that the view is that China, which is an authoritarian country, is using our system to defeat our system. And I think a lot of your journalistic colleagues, interestingly enough, Peter, many of them in the left, from Fairfax and the ABC and other places, have taken this issue of Beijing's political interference in Australia up. And I have to say, personally, I give credit to Hastie for having the guts to stand up and do that. I'd be surprised if he'd done it with a confidential briefing. I think that would have been wrong. But as it seems, as the Prime Minister admitted that it was non-confidential, I think sometimes you have parliamentary privilege and big blokes like him have to stand up and do it.
I want to just turn to this issue of the foreign interference laws. I think there's broad support in the community for these laws, certainly support with the journalistic class. There is debate, however, Andrew, broad about how poorly drafted they are, and the Australian newspaper took the unusual step to say, we agree with what you're doing in principle, but you've got to scrap these badly drafted laws and start again. Is this an unexploded bomb from George Brandis, these poorly drafted laws? Could you take on board what the committees are saying? That I can say that because there's been a few metadata and bigot comments from George that caused indigestion at the time. But surely this is the time now. These laws should be passed. They should have been passed months ago. If they need to be rewritten, now is the time to bite the bullet, rewrite them and get them through the Parliament.
Well, good afternoon, Peter, and I'm not going to give you an expose on the laws as a bush lawyer. That's not my expertise. But what I will say is the principle is very sound, that we do not want foreign interference. We want transparent democracy. We want things to be open to Australians. And if they do need some tidy up, that's why we have a Senate. That's why we have both houses of the Parliament to be looking at those in all the detail. But you are right. We need to ensure that our system has a level of integrity and that there's trust in that. Can I also just add some comment, though? Countries that trade together very rarely fight. And the great thing about that is that businesses have interaction with people from the other parts of the world, and it breaks down those barriers. I think in all this we need to treat everyone with respect, probably simmer down some of the commentary a little bit and say that we need good transparency in our laws, but also an understanding of one another so we can continue to have good, robust trading relationships.
Look, I 100% agree with you, Andrew. I think that now is the time for a bit of de-escalation on this issue and, as I said before, allow China to save some face before we push it much further. I want to turn to the Labor conference. I listened very intently to comments from Bob Carr today, Michael Danby, where he said that basically he said the view of the world was now, for the conference heading forward, that they would ratify or indeed adopt in principle at a national level the position of the New South Wales Labor Party that they should recognise Palestine, that would be on the table should the government fall, should the Labor Party be elected at the next election. Where do you stand on that issue?
Well, Bob Carr is a propagandist. The New South Wales Labor Party conference agreed to a recognition of Palestine on conditional reasons, you know, that there'd be a settlement of differences between the parties. He has tried to turn it into his view of the world, that it's all unilateral and will be decided one way, and he's going to dictate to future Labor governments. I think people are sick to death of Bob Carr telling the current Labor Party what they ought to do, whether it's on China or whether it's on the Israel-Palestine conflict. I think next week or in a couple of weeks' time there's a New South Wales Labor Party conference. I expect them to be sensible and continue to do what all parties have done. Sir Robert Menzies as well as Doc Evatt supported a two-state solution. That's the moderate course that all Australians support. But I don't think we should do it unilaterally, nor should we bind future governments. Does Penny Wong really want to be dictated to by Uncle Bob Carr in his 70s about what should be done? No government wants to be in that position. So, you know, I think his prescriptions, full credit to Sky for interviewing him, but I think they're wrong, and I think the sensible burghers of New South Wales, along with the National Conference of the Labor Party, where, by the way, Peter, it's not a it's a bit of a better result than we thought. The right has done very well in New South Wales and Victoria, so Bill Shorten might have a bit of an easier path than people think.
Well, it's still the Labor Party, Michael Danby, but I'll always cheer for the right of the Labor Party over the left. I'm going to come back after the break. I want to talk about Jed Carney and her view on asylum seekers, because I think really that's cat amongst the pigeons, and I know Jim Molan, having stopped the votes, will have a view on that. Stay with us.